The Opposition.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Prime Minister. Does he stand by his statement that, quote, this government is working on two fronts to lower the cost of living for New Zealanders and their families? If so, why?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes, because it's true. On the first front, the government continues to support monetary policy which is focused on maintaining a low level of inflation. I might add that this is a point of difference between us and the Labour Party. And on the second front, the government is working to build a stronger economy that delivers rising income. Actually, that's also a point of difference with this government.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, when the Prime Minister talked last week, about this being a quote-unquote monster year for dairy, was he referring to the fact that butter has gone up a massive 65% in the last 2 years and cheese 22%, with both due to go up by 10% and 12% respectively next week?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
No, Mr Speaker, I was simply referring to the fact that high commodity prices actually support the New Zealand economy overall in terms of better jobs. But funnily enough, I'm not alone in my thinking in that area. On the 30th of September 2008, I read a very interesting speech, and the quote was, as a net exporter of food products, New Zealand is a beneficiary of high international food prices. That speech was given by Phil Goff.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Order.
Absolutely right then.
Order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Does the Prime Minister...
Order.
Does the Prime Minister recall saying in this House that New Zealanders, quote, cannot afford to fill up their car or go to the supermarket checkout, and they're going without, and why does the Prime Minister not do something about those people, end quote? So why was it the Prime Minister's responsibility for dairy prices and petrol prices then, but not his now?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, because back then we had very poor levels of rising after-tax wages, and that's because the Prime Minister of the day did nothing about it. But, Mr Speaker, I do note on the 8th of March that very question of petrol prices was not just asked of myself, actually it was asked of Phil Goff. The question from Corrindam was, but is there anything you could do for petrol? Phil said, no.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker.
Order. I've called the Honourable... Order. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, when the Prime Minister claims that people are better off, can he explain this? How is a person earning $40,000 a year that got a tax cut last October of $22 a week better off when that person spends that entire amount each week now just filling up their petrol tank and has nothing left to pay for the other rising costs like lamb chops, like vegetables, like cheese and butter, all up by over 10%?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, the first thing that person will want to do is vote national, because under their ETS it's going to be a hell of a lot more expensive. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'm glad the member raised someone on $40,000, because over the last 12 months, Mr Speaker, over the last 12 months, these are the facts when it comes to after-tax wages. The average wage in New Zealand has risen from $39,518 to $42,214, a rise of 6.8%, or in real terms, a rise of 2.7%. The last Labour government achieved 4% in 9 years. What a disgrace for New Zealand consumers.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, is the Prime Minister still denying that the rise in the cost of living in the December quarter of last year was the highest in 20 years, as he did a couple of weeks ago in this House, or have his staff put him right by now?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, as we know, that included GST and was compensated for with all consumers. But actually, while we're on numbers, Mr Speaker, let's just have a look at the rise in food for all of last year, seeing we're on that discussion. According to Stats New Zealand, it has risen 5.5%.
Point of order, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This is very interesting, but it doesn't answer my question. The question was straightforward, as you'll recall, Mr Speaker. Was he denying that the last quarter was the highest price rise in 20 years?
Order. The member's wording was, does the Prime Minister still deny, from memory, does he still deny that the CPI rise in the last quarter wasn't the highest for 20 years? Now, that gives the Prime Minister a fair bit of licence, or any minister a fair bit of licence in answering that type of question, because it's seeking an opinion. It's seeking an opinion about CPI. It's asking whether the Prime Minister denies whether or not the CPI was the highest in the last quarter. And that leaves a fair bit of latitude, and it would be wrong of me as Speaker to unfairly clip the wings of a minister too much. However, I wouldn't want the Prime Minister to go on too long. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, no, I won't go on too long. If one looks at the rise in all food prices over the last 12 months, that was 5.5%, and that included the 2% increase for GST. The last year of a Labour government, food went up 10.8% on average, and there was no increase in GST then.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Order.
Mr Speaker, when the Prime Minister in February talked about delivering faster rising incomes for New Zealanders and their families, why was it that in 2010 all he delivered, according to Statistics New Zealand, was a fall in the median income?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, well, I go back to, based on Statistics New Zealand, the rise over the last 12 months, which was 2010, was from $39,518 to $42,214. That was a rise of 6.8% in nominal terms, or 2.7% in real terms. In other words, we delivered 2.7% in real terms when they delivered 4% over 9 years.
Point of order. A point of order is called. Now I say to the Honourable Dr Nick Smith, he's skating on thin ice. Right. He made that interjection well after the point of order was called. The Honourable Trevor Mallard.
This was, I think, according to all of your instructions, a very narrow question about the median income. The Prime Minister did not answer with regard to the median income. He used average.
Order. Point of order is being considered. I invite the member to compare the language used in the question with his own language in questions. And he will observe his own language is very precise when he asks questions. His colleague's language was, I accept that it did refer to the median income, I absolutely accept that. But the Prime Minister is answering it is disputing the information contained. Because the Prime Minister, obviously, in answering it, is saying that average after-tax incomes may or may not be, in his view, the Prime Minister's view, seems to be more important than median before-tax incomes. Now, in asking that kind of question, the way it was worded, it's my view that that's not unreasonable. I think it would be pedantic of the Speaker to try and, constrain ministers more than that. Yesterday, the member saw me stop the Prime Minister in full flight. When he was asked a straight question, he went on to make comment about the opposition. And where I hear straight questions without implied criticism of the government, I'll insist on answers. But where members can help themselves is to get out of the questions the language that gives ministers the chance to get off the hook. And today we've heard too many questions that have got language that lets ministers off the hook. And I listen very carefully, and I'll do my best. Where a question is a straight question and a fair question, I'll do my best to make sure it's answered. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Is the rising cost of living and the fact that New Zealand workers are earning a third less than their counterparts in Australia the reason why in February of this year, every day, 139 New Zealanders left permanently for Australia, 1,000 more for the month of February this year than February last year, according to the figures just released?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I dispute those numbers.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Can it be in order to dispute numbers that I've just quoted from Statistics New Zealand, released today and available to the Prime Minister and to you?
It is absolutely in order to dispute figures. And where ministers who do dispute figures, of course, place themselves at risk as future questions can be put down on the order paper to ask for specific answers in relation to those matters. But ministers are entitled to dispute the content of questions, but they face further questioning where they do that.
Speaker, I seek the leave of the House to table the statistics that I've just quoted. Yes, point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Well, point of order should be called.
Okay,
point of order,
Mr. Speaker, point of order.
Opposition.
I seek the leave of the House to table the statistics just released, proving the point that I've just stated and disputed by the Prime Minister.
Well, order, we don't table recently released stats because they're available to all members. And point of order, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, is it in order to avoid answering a question by disputing figures that are available to the Prime Minister publicly?
Order. This is question time, in case the Honourable Leader of the Opposition had forgotten that. And it happens every day, and where ministers dispute figures that the Honourable Member believes are proper figures, they open themselves to tighter questioning on that issue. And it is a risk ministers run. And the sanction is in the tough questions. Remember, shouldn't be interjecting. The sanction is in tough questions. And questions that insert opinions are not, or seek opinions, are not tough questions. Now, accept that the final question of the Leader of the Opposition was a fairly precise question. But the Minister is entitled to dispute the information contained in it. I, as Speaker, cannot judge that. But they leave themselves open to further tight questioning where they do that. Point of order, the Honourable Trevor.
Mr. Speaker, can I ask you to, not now, but to review your response to this, and especially the reflection that is made on the government statistician by the Prime Minister disputing his
order.
figures.
The member's doing perfectly fine with his point of order till that point. He's now debating the issue. The matter is very simple. I cannot judge the accuracy of a minister's answer. The minister is absolutely entitled to dispute figures, but if they get them wrong, they leave themselves vulnerable. There's another question. There are further supplementaries today. There is another question time tomorrow, and members have the chance to pursue these matters. Point of order, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
You started off your answer in the House saying it's question time. It's also answer time. It was a straight question, Mr.
Order.
Speaker.
Order. The member will assume his seat immediately. He will not dispute my ruling. The Minister gave a straight answer. He disagreed with the information. That order. Now, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition will cease that or he will leave the House. He has the choice. I've ruled on the matter, and ministers are absolutely entitled to dispute information contained in supplementary questions. They're even entitled to dispute information contained in primary questions. Even though it is validated, it may not be in the Leader of the Opposition needs to be careful. I don't wish to evict him from the House, but I won't hesitate if he carries on down this line. Question number 3, the Honourable Rodney Hyde.